All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we're getting into the best things about airline travel. People's favorite things about airline travel. Not just objectively the best, people's favorite things about airline travel. We always talk about the worst things, about going to airports and flying commercially and all that stuff. This time we're going to talk about the good stuff, hopefully. So we got a lot of good feedback from there. I got some LPDS current events, I guess you can call them, and a nice little cage fact for you guys. So all coming up right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti. As you can see, another different setting going on. I'm on the road again. I'm at guard duty, National Guard duty in Pennsylvania. That's why I de-bearded, had a de-beard. I think the beard looks decent on me, but it is a pain in the you-know-what to maintain. So I can't tell how I feel about it. It feels great. I feel a whole hell of a lot better without the beard. It's cleaner. I don't get stuff stuck in it. I can blow my nose and stuff in confidence. But I think my face looks stupid. I'm looking at the camera on my computer over here in YouTube land, if you can see that. And I don't know. So I'm very torn on it. I'll grow it back, I'm sure, because that's what I do. I backslide. But the beard's gone for now for guard duty. Excuse me. And I made a rookie mistake. I forgot to pack my LPDS tank top with me, so I'm wearing, if you're watching in YouTube land, I'm wearing a gray guinea tee from the Guinea Tee Emporium, Undershirt Emporium in New Jersey. I also, as you can see, it's a weird camera angle because I don't pack my tripod anymore on these quick trips because it requires a bigger bag. And if I get a bigger bag just for that, then it's money, it's possible lost luggage, it's all that stuff that I don't want to deal with. So I prop it up on stuff I find in the hotel. So it's a little bit off. And if I get too animated and I start shaking the table, that could topple over at any moment. So we're watching you, camera. We're gonna hopefully keep you protected. But if it falls, the YouTube land folks will get a good laugh, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I'm here in Pennsylvania, guard duty for the weekend. So I'm recording this Saturday after the first day of guard duty. So you guys will hear about it after the fact. I'll be already done and on my way back to the LPDS ranch in Texas once you guys hear this or watch this. But I had my physical fitness test this weekend. And for those of you who don't do Air Force or play Army or whatever, every year you got to do a physical fitness test. And the test is different depending on the branch you're in. Also depending on the unit you're in sometimes too, because for some of the higher echelon units like the SEALs and the Rangers and the what have yous, they have a different, they have a higher higher standards. That's the word I'm looking for. Higher standards for their physical fitness level, so they have a different test. But the Air Force test is how do you say, a joke. It's push-ups, sit-ups, and then a 1.5 mile run. They've recently added additional options for you to pick because they understand that the Air Force doesn't need to be as physically fit. So I know there's also a lot of fat lazies out there, so they give people options to make it easier. They knock the scores down, the times down. They made it a lot easier to pass the test and I'll get into that in a second. But the options are, you could do regular push-ups, as many as you can in a minute. Or you can do what they call, I don't even know what they call it because I don't pay attention to them. I'm not going to do them. It's the arm extension push-ups where you do a push-up and then you go all the way down on your chest, on the ground, if you're watching in YouTube land, and then you extend your arms out, back in push-up position, up, that's one. And you have 2 minutes to do as many as you can with that. Extended arm push-ups, I forgot what they're technically called. Jesus push-ups, because you look like Jesus on the ground, even though he was on the cross. And you have 2 minutes to do that. Then you can do sit-ups. Standard Air Force sit-up is not a real sit-up, by the way. It is hands on your chest, on your shoulders, and then you sit up, and then as long as your elbow touches your thigh somewhere, and you go all the way back down, that's one. So I really like to go halfway up, and then you just let gravity take you back down. And you can slam back down on the ground, and you can bounce back up pretty effectively. So you got to do that in a minute. Or you can do planks. And I know some of you know about planks, where you just stay in like a modified push-up position for however long you can go. And you get points for the time. And then you can do this weird thing. I think they call it alternate arm leg raises. And I thought it was like the bicycle leg raise. And I'm going to try to do it without getting the wires stuck here in my mic here. But I thought it was the bicycle where you're going alternate arm, alternate leg like this in YouTube land. Elbow, left elbow, right leg, right elbow, left leg. But it's not. It's legs up at the same time, and then you alternate your elbow to each leg. So it's like half leg lift, like V sit-up, half Russian twist kind of thing. And it requires a lot more coordination than it does core strength. And you're sliding around like a weird slimy worm, like a water snake. And it's difficult to do, and it doesn't really necessarily assess your fitness level in that category. But whatever, that's what they're doing now. So I chose, obviously, regular sit-ups because it's a numbers game. The Air Force PT test is a numbers game, okay? You max the push-ups. You get the maximum score possible for the push-ups for your age group. You get the maximum score possible for the sit-ups because those are easy to do as far as the Air Force regulation goes. And then you do the 1.5 mile run. You can also now do the beep test, which is a shuttle run. And if you're not familiar with the beep test is, you get cones at 20 yards apart. You start at one end, and then the beep goes, and you run to the other end, and you stay there until the beep goes again, and then you run back. And then each time you do that, the beeps beep in a shorter time frame. So the beeps get quicker to the point where no matter how fast you're running, you're not going to get to the other end in time before the beep goes. You have to get to the other end in time before the next beep. Okay? And I know I explained that like a schlemiel, but now you get the gist of it. And then however many rounds you get, that's your score. And you can get, I think like 80 rounds is 100 for my age group. But I didn't want to do that because it's a numbers game. 1.5 mile run. Ran it outside on the old flight line here at the base. Had a decent run. There was an incline. There was about a 1/4 mile straight incline with a headwind, but I ended up getting a 95 on the test. They pretty much said, like, I don't know what you're doing in the Air Force. You're way too physically fit and hot to be in the Air Force. So I'm thinking about changing out to the different branches now. Probably the Navy because the Navy loves hunky guys. So passed the PT test. Long story short, I passed the PT test. But I was very torn when they decided to adjust the PT test in general and the fitness test and provide different options and lower the scores. Because on one hand, I think that's weak. We're in the military, and you're dropping standards because people are getting increasingly more lazy and out of shape. Not because the test is getting harder. It's because people are getting lazier and softer and more out of shape and unhealthier. On the other hand, though, we don't do much in the Air Force. Okay? Even when we deploy, very few people, maybe a 0.2% of people in the Air Force actually have to do forward combat missions on the ground where they need to be physically fit to carry packs or carry people or whatever it is. The rest of us don't have to do that, okay? Most of the time we're sitting down. So I get it. I understand why they're doing it. I still kind of don't like it because it just... That plus other things they've been doing in the military these days just makes our military weak in general. Makes it okay for weak-minded individuals to prosper in the military when the military is there to protect the nation. Okay? And we can't have weak-minded individuals protecting our nation. That's how I feel about that. So when you do all these little things to make it easier for people to get in and stay in, you're forgetting the goal, the reason for the military. That's my problem. I've bitched about this in the past. That's my problem with it. It's always been my problem. The military should be a discriminating, and I know that's a hot button word, it's a discriminating organization that you have to try out for and qualify for. Just like a sports team. Sports teams are also discriminating against people who are not good enough to play on that team. Okay? I know when people hear the word discrimination, they immediately think of other things like the social justice stuff, race, religion, sexual orientation, whatever, but we're talking about qualifiers here. Okay? And we need to have people qualified to be in the military, and I just feel that a lot of the things that they're doing is making it making the military in general less qualified to protect its people. So that's why I was getting mad at it. But whatever, the Air Force we don't do anything. So we check emails and we watch YouTubes if the YouTube isn't blocked on our computer. Anyway, what else we got? The only real current event I wanted to discuss, and I'm just going to mention it real quick, is the president at the Air Force Academy commencement graduation fell over an invisible stair again. He did get back up, so good on him for, like Rocky said, it's not how many times you go down, it's how many times you get back up that counts. So good on him for that. But listen, if our two candidates for the President of the United States are Donald Trump and Joe Biden again, an old orange emperor and an old bag who doesn't even know he exists anymore, like, what are we doing? Okay? This is embarrassing. And they're laughing at us. The government's laughing at us because we voted for these people to be in there. I can't even stand anymore. And did you see how many times they had to tell him to get to the podium? He kept walking past it. He was saluting the wrong people. The guy is not on this planet anymore. And who else do we have? The other idiot? The assaulter? The womanizer? You're fired. That's a great list of candidates there. Look, guys. Libretti 2024, write it in, okay? There is space available to write in, cast your ballot that way. Let's actually make a statement. You want someone out there who's not 100 years old or a raper? Let me know. Write it in. I'm writing it in. I can't afford to get my name officially on the ballot because it's a criminal racket to get your name on the ballot in each state. I looked it up. It's like $5,000 at minimum per state. And then some states make you pay a little bit more. They want more off the top, and that's how they get you. And then they charge you if you want to be on the top of the barrel or the bottom and this and that. It's a scam. So bring your pens with you and write it in, baby. Even if I get 2 votes, I know I'm going to get 1. I'm going to vote for myself. Even if I get 2 votes, that's still, 0.00002% more hope I have than in the past. Anyway, we're talking about good stuff on flights, favorite things about airline travel, commercial travel. So we'll get right into it. First, we're going to step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Harry's Hot Jerky. Are you looking for a pleasurable way to get loads of protein without having to spend hundreds of dollars on lab-created supplements and powders and egg crystals? Then get yourself some Harry's Hot Jerky. Harry's HJ is not only delicious, it's all natural, and it's incredibly healthy for you. So to get your protein the old-fashioned way and start handling some Harry's, visit www.jerkymenow.com and use the promo code BEEFY for 29% off your first pack of Harry's HJ. Jerky's good, but it's very expensive, and you can't have too much of it because it is processed these days. If you look at the ingredients on beef jerky, it's highly processed, more than just dehydrating meats. So if you have a dehydrator, you might be better off doing it that way. Otherwise, you're going to be paying for it, paying for the processed stuff. And I don't know how I feel about that. But it is good. Harry's, I don't know how processed it is. It's very delicious, a lot of protein. Get it on the regular. I'm very tired, by the way. I didn't get much sleep after the flight. I got in late because of delays and such. And then I had to get up super early for this dumb test. So I'm very tired. I apologize in advance. But the Cage fact is exciting. It gets the blood pumping a little bit. Nic Cage, it was officially announced recently, maybe a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago, that Nic Cage has been cast to reprise his role as the Russian gun lord in the next movie, the sequel from Lord of War called Lords of War. And the movie stars Nic Cage as the same guy. He's the Russian gun lord who is selling guns and being a bad guy, based on the real-life Russian gun lord who they just traded for that basketball lady. When the Russians got her for doing pots, they traded him for her. Very fair trade, even trade. Okay, she just put up 17 points in her game recently. Definitely an even trade. Michael Jordan in the Women's League. Anyway, he's going to be playing that role again. And Bill Skarsgård or Bart Skarsgård? I want it to be Bart, but I think it's Bill Skarsgård. He's the guy who played, I believe he plays It, the clown, from the movie It. And he was just in John Wick 4 as the Marquis de Gramont. And that's a French word. And he played a French. And he was really good in it. John Wick 4 was tremendous, by the way. I watched it on the plane. I'm going to talk about that in the Junction. I'll talk about it in the Junction, all right? I want to talk about it now, but I'll wait. But anyway, that movie is going to start being made this fall, 2023, probably for a release 2024, maybe early 25. I don't know how long it takes movies to hit, post-production and get finished up and conglomerated into movies, but I'm excited for that one. That was a good movie. If you haven't watched the original Lord of War with Nic Cage and that freak show Jared Leto, you got to check it out. Great flick, good film, Cage classic, and now they're going to have another one, so I'm excited about that. And that's it. That's the Cage fact. So there you go. All right, moving on over to the Junction. We'll spin the logo up. Best parts about airline travel, flying, commercial flying. Lately, airline travel has been garbage. And I think we can all agree on that. It's been super expensive for no damn reason. You get mostly garbage on the plane itself for what you're paying for. You're stuffed in there like sardines, usually next to some fatso who needs 2 seats but only pays for 1, and you have to suffer because they're unhealthy. And then you got to deal with the people in the airport, the barefooters, the loudmouths, the entitled people, the idiots. It's just ridiculous. The lack of care by the airlines themselves for the customers. It's when I say the airlines, I mean the companies, the leadership, not like the pilots and the flight attendants. They're usually pretty great. So we're always tired of it. But I wanted to talk about some of the good stuff about flying. Get a little positive light to it. So I asked you guys. I'm choking on my own spit. I asked you guys, and we got some good feedback, so I'm just going to get right into it. The best parts of airline travel for some people. This person here, I'm on old school notebook here. I didn't type it up because I was on the road. She said it's always 0 drink 30 as soon as I walk into the airport, and that's a common one. Thank you for the input. Every time you walk into the airport, no matter what time of day or night, as soon as you get into the airport, for whatever reason, it is socially acceptable to drink. Not that I'm judging it or have never done it before. I've done that before. But it's just a strange phenomenon that you walk into an airport at 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning, and if you go to the bar, which is open, and order a drink, nobody gives you the side eye. Nobody looks at you like you're a freak or a weirdo or a creepo or an alcoholic. They're just like, yeah, drink up, baby. Let's do this. Now, sometimes I think people fly just so they can drink and post pictures of themselves drinking in airports. And I don't know if that's because they're alcoholics or they're addicted to social media. I don't know what it is. I think those people have problems and they should get help. But yeah, drinking at the airport. I wanted to have a drink. I had a long layover yesterday when I flew, yesterday being Friday, so whenever you hear this, who knows when. It won't be yesterday anymore. But I had my fitness test the next day, so I didn't want to booze up the day before. But I was jonesing for a brewski. I might get to the airport early in Philly going back so I can take down an airport margarita, baby. Marg Daddy. So anyway, always 0 drink 30. Thank you for that. This next person here said people watching. Absolutely. It's on my list too. There's nothing better than just watching the circus clowns. It's a free show. You don't need to have a ticket to get into that show. You just walk into an airport and there's every type of person in there. Every type. And I'm not going to list them all out, but you know the freaks we're talking about, the bearded ladies, the trolls with their feet out, the nasty people, the fats, the trash, the hunchbacks, the slack jaws, all of them. It's great. It's tremendous. The hots. Love the hots. The hunks. Everybody's out there. The influencers that are taking TikToks in the middle of the hallway dancing. Great stuff. I loved it. I love it. And when for whatever reason, I have the ability, I could go to the airport lounges if I wanted to get some free food, free booze, take a nap, whatever. I always find a place in the public arena to watch the show. So I'll pay $16 for a Big Mac at airport McDonald's to watch the freaks and geeks out there having a grand old time. I love it. They love it. We're all having a blast. So keep the people watching going. Love that entry. Thank you for that feedback. All right, this person here, I don't get this one. They said best part of airline travel is treating the airline staff like they're human beings and realizing they don't have control over situations. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this one. And I read it when I wrote it down. I still didn't know, and I don't know now. I don't know if it's a humble brag. Like, my favorite thing about airline travel is being nicer to the people than other people are. Like when people film themselves giving money to bums. Like, you don't need to film yourself giving money to bums. You don't need to tell us that you're nice to airline staff. Just be nice to the airline staff. So I don't know how to take this. It is good being nice to them and treating them like humans. That's what they are. And also, here's another thing. Flight attendants, and correct me if I'm wrong from any of my flight attendants out there that listen to this, your job primarily on those flights is safety of the people, of the passengers on board. Most of the other stuff that they do, they're not getting paid extra for. It's a nicety. It's an accommodation. Yes, they serve the drinks and snackies and booze and all that stuff. But the flight attendants originally are there for your safety and to get your stupid fat asses out of the emergency exits while you're freaking out. They're the ones who are going to be calm, cool, and collected to make that shit happen. So you should absolutely treat them with the utmost respect. And I hate when people disrespect them and talk down to them and feel entitled and this and that. It's unbelievable. Now, there have been times when I've had some very angry and rude flight attendants. So I don't like that either, but I try to empathize. It could be the third of 3 flights for them for that day, and they had to deal with 2 other flights full of fat, stupid, rude assholes. So I try to cut them a little slack. They're still doing their job. I get it. I wish people would just be kind to each other as often as possible. You never know what's going on in that other person's life. I don't know why I do that every time. You don't ever know what's going on in that person's life. So she might have been a rude flight attendant, but she could have lost a loved one. She could have been treated like shit by other people. She could have got yelled at by her boss for no reason. She could have taken the fall for somebody. I don't know. I wish she would have been nice to me too, because she didn't know what I was going through, but whatever. I get it. We all do. We've all been there emotionally. So be nice to people. It is a good thing to do. The fact that this is this person's favorite thing to do, that just seems a little narcissistic. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I give them the benefit of the doubt. I don't know what they exactly meant by it, but maybe it was just them to put out the announcement, be nice to the flight staff. So be nice to the flight staff. Thank you for that input. All right. This person here wrote, this is another one I'm questioning. She put, when people walk into the lavatory with no shoes on. Now, I don't know if this was sarcastic. It's like, oh, this is my favorite thing when people walk in with, shoeless into the bathroom. Because this person is an actual flight attendant. I don't know if they listen to this show, but they certainly respond to and give feedback on the Instagram, so I appreciate that. So I'm curious if that was like a sarcastic comment or it's their favorite because it's so funny to see barefoot and shoeless people walk in, because then they're going to get, guess what? Pee-pee frag all over their bodies, all over their dirty, disgusting feet. Whatever splashed up from those tiny little toilets, they're getting all over their bare, disgusting hooves. And then they're bringing that back to put in their shoes, or their sandals, or their Air Jesuses, or Jesus sneakers. And then they're going to bed, likely not showering because they're disgusting. And then all the filth, all the frag, all the shit particles are stuck in their shoes. And they're going to put their shoes back on again the next day. And immediately, even if they shower, they're going right back in those shoes and right back to Fragtown, USA. So, yeah, I guess it's disgusting. But it's funny to me that they have to deal with that. They don't even know. They're so stupid they don't even know. And I love stupid people. And they make the world go around as well. People, the world needs stupid people. So Thank you for that. Thank you for the feedback, for that submission. Thank you for that image. Thank you for the stupids out there. And the disgust doors. Hello, I'm stuttering over here. The disgust doors. How you doing? Anyway, moving on. This mini list here is from the Wet Cat. And his top favorite things are the notification he gets on his phone when he's been upgraded to first class. That's a big time move. I flew first class one time. I believe I told this story. I think I did with special guest Bonji, Brandon Roper Humpert, when we went to Vegas for the Miss America pageant. I flew first class. It's life-changing. On a long flight, you can't beat it. On a long flight, you can't beat it except for private flying. And I've flown private before. I was an intern for a company that had private jets, so my job was to stock the jets with chips and whatever special drinks to get, the passengers wanted, the big wig passengers wanted. So I flew on it as more of like a flight test in the jump seat and not in the back getting the free meals and caviar and all that crap. But anyway, that's the only thing better than first getting the private. So getting that notification is definitely great. Next one that he wrote was, on the rare occasion, falling asleep before takeoff and not waking up until after landing. That's a power move. To be able to do that, and then when you wake up and you're already landed and taxiing to the gate, that's a great feeling because you missed everything. All the stuff that would potentially annoy you or be problematic, gone, non-existent. Which makes you wonder, thinking about it now, the stuff we get mad at in most of our lives, not just in air travel, most of our lives, but in air travel specifically, while on the flight, if it was that important, if it was that serious, and that worth burning calories and emotions and effort on, how come when you fall asleep and you miss all that stuff, it doesn't affect you? Now, it sounds like a stupid question. It's like, because you were asleep, you never experienced it. But guess what? You're proving the point that the shit was not important. Look, if you're sleeping through 9/11 and you wake up and you hear about it on the news, that's going to affect you. Okay, that's a big thing. If you sleep through a flight and you wake up and land and you find out that the fatso across from you was yelling at at their seat neighbor and they threw popcorn at each other, it's not going to affect you because you didn't, because you were sleeping, and it shouldn't affect you while you're awake. That is the point here. Anyway, that would be great. Sleeping all the way through. I would like to do that in some flights. Some flights I like to watch movies or read, or if I'm talking to a hot, I'd like to stay awake for that too. So next on the Wet Cat list, the hot towel before a meal. Now this is a little bit of a unintentional sort of jab at the pores because you only get the hot towel if you're in first class. All right, and we know the Wet Cat clearly travels first class, so hot towel, good stuff. The next he wrote, Bloody Marys on the plane. Tremendous. I don't know why Bloody Marys, to me, taste better on the flight. Because they're not better. If you look at a Bloody Mary on a flight compared to one at a bar that makes Bloody Marys with all the fixings and how you doing and the good mixes and stuff, there's no reason why it should taste better, but it just does. I think just the whole atmosphere, the aura, maybe the high altitude. I don't know what it is, but a fresh Bloody Mary on a plane is choice. So thanks for that one. Last one on the Wet Cats list, getting to your destination on time. That's an easy one. I like when they get in there a couple minutes early. You know how they say like estimated landing time is, arrival time is this? They build that in for like wind and other maintenance issues that delay the flight. But when you get in there and you beat that time, that's pretty bitchin'. So Thank you for that, Wet Cat. Great submissions. All right, this next person here just reiterated what other people said. Not that they knew, they just did it on their own. Getting to the destination on time and people watching. I put it in there because this person made an effort to put a submission in, and it just shows the commonality of how great it is to get there on time. No flight issues, no weather issues, no unruly passenger issues, and being able to watch the people in the circus. That's how good it is that more than one person likes to do that stuff, likes that stuff about airline travel. So thank you for that submission. This person here wrote, she commented, it's the only time I get to watch a whole movie. Now, I initially thought she said the best part, her favorite part about airline travel is the only times she had, like, she's on a flight that allows her to watch the whole movie. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I hate when I'm watching a movie and the flight ends, like we land and I have to stop the movie midway through or whatever. But what she was saying was that her life is so hectic and busy with work and she doesn't watch TV at home and this and that the only time she actually gets a chance to watch a whole movie is when she's flying somewhere. So I'm a dope. But that is a great thing. Speaking of movies, I just watched John Wick 4 on the flight here to Pennsylvania. And let me tell you about it. It was a tremendous movie. Okay? It was not an Oscar-winning movie for deep concepts or convincing acting by any means, and I think we know that going into seeing John Wick's. But Keanu Reeves must have killed close to 200 people in the movie. He should have been dead several times. He fell off of some buildings and stuff that kill anything. From half the height of where he fell, it would have killed a normal human being. But because he's got the special Kevlar suits where they do the whole Dracula cape to block the bullets in the gunfights, everything, that's how he survived, I guess, because he had the special cape jacket suit or whatever. And then there was a blind guy fighting, and then the clown from It was the main bad guy, and there was another guy with a dog, and they were fighting. Tremendous movie, just a tremendous action-packed movie from top to bottom. Fantastic. It's not a thinker. You don't have to think about any sort of weird twists or turns. You just have to enjoy the action, enjoy the impressive nature of the choreography to get these guys to look like they're fighting and falling off buildings and falling down staircases and shooting and fighting and shooting and doing the Dracula cape, how you doing, and whatever it is. It was fantastic, and I got to watch the whole thing on the plane. The whole movie within the flight. It was great. Highly recommend it. Anyway, moving on. Thank you for that submission. Long story short, thanks for the submission. Only time I get to watch a movie. This one here, this person wrote nothing. My favorite part is nothing. And this is my sister. And I love my sister to death. She very rarely flies anywhere anymore. I think she's taken 3 flights, like 3 round trips somewhere in her life, maybe. She is a homebody. She stays in her bubble in New Jersey, the bubble boy. She's a negative lady right now. There's nothing about flying, the ability to get to a destination on the other side of this earth that you would never see otherwise. That's pretty cool. I just wish, and I love her to death, I wish she would just take a more positive outlook to life. You don't have to, not everything has to be negative. Okay? We don't have to all be like Crazy Carol and hate on the Yankees and hate on everything. My mother gave shit to the Yankees when they won the World Series in 2009 because they didn't sweep. And this answer is giving off very 2009 Crazy Carol vibes right now, and I don't like that, and I hope she gets the help she seeks. I hope she follows the big 3. Follow the big 3 and you'll be better, sister. Anyway, thanks for the submission. I appreciate it. That's the first time she ever submitted. She's definitely not listening to this. I can say whatever I want about her right now, but I'm not going to because she's a good person. She's just a little bit negative, maybe a little sad. Nothing the big three can't help with, though. So thanks for the submission. This next person here, an old teammate, he said that because now if he travels anywhere, it's usually traveling with 6 people, so it sounds like he's got 4 kids now, which sounds miserable. What are you doing having 4 kids, Robbie? What are you doing with your life? How do you afford that? Do they work on the farm with you? I mean, holy crap, good for you, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if you're Mormon or you just like kids or sex and forgot the consequences of sex. I don't know. Congratulations on the full family. But he said the best part is when he gets to fly without the kids. No shit, dude. No shit. That's got to be refreshing for you. 4 kids. I think I got the math right. Unless he has multiple wives and only 1 kid. I don't think that's the case. That would be kind of funny, though. Good for him. But full family for this guy, that's tough. I'm sure he's happy, and I'm happy for him that he's happy, and his family is big and loving, and they have a good time together, I'm sure. But absolutely, flying without kids is refreshing as hell. I wish my parents took more trips away so that they can enjoy that back in the day when we were young piss pants kids. So thanks for that feedback. This person here, now, this guy here, love him to death. His wife is also a listener. She was a coworker with me for a while, and he was also a brother-in-arms coworker in the Air Force. He's retired now. These 2 people always provide submissions to questions for the LPDS, and I believe they listen to most, if not all, of the episodes. They're top-tier fans. They're definitely ride-or-die jabronis, but what's very funny to me about both of these folks, and I don't think they do it on purpose because I don't know how often they're sitting next to each other where they're like, let's answer the Libretti question this week or whatever. I think they just happen to answer the questions. But these 2 are the only ones who always answer mostly incorrectly to the question. Or they're not answering the question that was actually asked. And I get a kick out of it every time. I don't know when they read the question. Sometimes I will absolutely admit I communicate poorly of what I'm trying to get people to answer. That's why I like to post videos with my questions, because sometimes I have a hard time explaining succinctly within a quick Instagram post or story what my question is, what I want to find out from you guys. So that's definitely the case sometimes where I could probably confuse people on what I'm looking for, so their answers come out a little wonky. But these 2 folks, it's almost without a doubt, one, if not both of them, are always only partially answering the question that was asked and then answering whatever else they decide to answer. It's almost like while they're typing out their answer, they have they see a mental squirrel in their brain. They're like, oh shit, this reminds me of something else. So I'm going to start answering this instead. And the next thing you know, we have a whole story and only one thing actually discusses the topic at hand. I'm here for it, though. Let me just caveat that. LPDS caveat. Keep it coming to the Klugsters. Okay? Keep that shit coming. I love it. It's so funny. It's so entertaining to see where you're going to go with your answers and submissions, because it's always a wild ride. All right? And the only thing better, I think, is if I was reading those comments while sitting in an airport watching the clowns. So, anyway, this person submitted... by the way, his wife submitted too. I believe she said day drinking as well. I can't remember. I thought I wrote it down, but I can't see it on my notes for some reason, so I apologize if I got that wrong. She told me a story about how, this is great. She wrote her answer as a story about how she loves the drinking on the plane, and at this one time they were going to Honolulu, and it was a 10-hour flight, and they got all these drinks and free drinks and this and that, and she took a 6-hour tequila nap, and then she woke up and she was in Hawaii. It was a great trip, and that was the submission. And it's a great story, and I butchered it. It's on the comments, I think, in the Instagram, so you go check out the old video. But the story was about one particular flight and not favorite part about air travel in general. So I hope her travel is always like that. I hope her air travel is always like that. But her husband said that a couple things were, answering the question. The day drinking for sure, like everybody, a lot of other people said, being able to drink during the day in the airport, on the plane, it's tremendous. It's a tremendous loophole in the societal norms. Another thing he likes to do is what he calls turbulence potty. And I guess that's trying to make pee-pee in the toilet during high turbulence to see if you can hit the target. It's very low probability for men to do that because we don't have very good accuracy as it is. You throw in a couple of bumps and how you doing, and the next thing you know, you're peeing all over the floor for fat Nancy or Richard to walk in there barefoot with their troll hooves to get the frag all over them. So, turbulence potty. The other thing he wrote, he said, by the way, the question was, what's the best part or your favorite part about airline travel? Now, I could have been more specific or more clear in saying commercial air travel. Airline travel, I thought for the most part meant commercial airline travel. He just started talking about how he loves how in the C-130 aircraft, which is an Air Force military aircraft, that you can sleep in the cockpit. They have a top bunk there for long flights. You can sleep in there. And then the J-Stars has a toaster. And then you can play football in the C-17 and all these military aircrafts on flights that we use when we're deploying sometimes. And it's not airline travel. He went off on this whole thing about how great all that stuff was, and it's stuff that nobody will ever experience except if you're in the military, and even some of those people won't experience. I haven't been in a J-Stars. I didn't know they had a toaster. So, again, a funny tangent. He got so excited. I love it. He got so excited about talking about cool shit on planes, and he just went off on one. So, thank you for that. I get it. That's why I kind of asked the question. I love flying. That's a hot take these days because there's so much shitty shit for commercial air travel mainly with the people involved, the customers and the passengers involved, the disgustingness, the rudeness and the entitlement, the lack of awareness. It creates a terrible situation most of the time. And then on top of that, there's actual maintenance delays or weather delays or crew rest delays, other things outside of our control. It makes for a shit situation, but I love flying. And the stuff that I got to do in the military on the flying side was incredible. I'm not going to share that because it has nothing to do with airline travel, Klugster. But I get why he got excited because I love flying. I like the people watching, the drinking. I don't drink that much when I'm flying, honestly. In fact, I haven't had a drink in an airport or on a flight in a couple of years, actually. I don't even remember the last time. I don't usually do it, but I enjoy it. I don't dislike it. I just don't. Probably because I'm cheap, because the booze is more expensive usually, and if I'm not flying first class, I'm not doing it. So maybe that's why, I don't know. I love the scenery. Looking out a window, if there's any HOTs on the plane. I like looking at new HOTs in the airport on the plane, seeing what I'm missing out on, all the hunky guys out there, the hot babes, just seeing what the world, what God created for us. It's also funny to see what God created for us on the other end of that spectrum, with the trolls and the freaks and the bearded ladies and such. That's also entertaining to me. But the scenery on the flight, you never get that perspective and realize how small you really are until you get up there. So that's incredible. The movies, I like watching a movie on a flight, a free movie. It's not free, you're paying for the ticket, it comes with it, whatever, got it. But I enjoy doing that, especially if I'm with someone, a friend or a significant other or whatever, and we're watching a movie together. I like that. That's cool. It's something we can share. And then flying. I wanted to fly. Look, I know the exact time I knew that I wanted to fly. It was 1989, June. Okay? My mother was pregnant with Nicky Sticks. He was due that December. And God bless her for going on a flight and Disney trip pregnant. But we went to Disney in 1989, right before my brother was born, and we flew. We flew Delta Airlines, and they had red seats. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And we flew over there. We had a great time at Disney. Had a couple of temper tantrums that I believe were caught on video. Some of the more famous JPL4 temper tantrums of all time are on that trip. We're on that trip and on video. And ever since then, I wanted to fly. In fact, I would have dreams of owning an airplane like that Delta plane. I think it was a 707 maybe at the time when they were still flying those, I believe. But I wanted mine to be a 747 because that was my favorite commercial airline. Delta doesn't fly those, but I still wanted it to be Delta anyway. So in my dreams, it was the Delta 747 with red seats. And I was able to park it in my house driveway. And my driveway at the time in the town we lived in, the house we lived in, was like a small horseshoe that could fit maybe 4 cars in it. Not a 747 jet, but whatever. It's my dream, it's my world. That's what I wanted. And then, my grandfather is the one who told me about the greatness of the Air Force aircraft and the Army Air Corps and all this stuff. That's why I've wanted to fly in the Air Force. I wanted to fly a plane since I was 3 years old. And that's not a lie. People might say it's a lie, like you don't remember what was going on at 3. Ask my mother, ask Crazy Carol, ask JPL3, ask any adult that was around that time frame that went on that trip. They'll tell you the seats were red. There was like a red carpeting, like a not a bright red, but like a reddish upholstery in the plane. And it was Delta. And why would I remember? Like, why would I make that stuff up? So don't tell me I don't remember what was going on when I was 3 years old. Nobody does. I remember. I always wanted to fly, and I still to this day love flying. I'm going to go back and finish getting my private pilot's license, and then I'm going to use my GI Bill to get the rest of my ratings so I can fly just for the love of it, because I love flying that much. I'll never not like it. So no matter how many fatzos and disgustors and rude, inconsiderate people sit next to me on a flight and try to ruin my experience, it's not going to happen. I'm still going to love flying, airplanes being in the air, the science behind the fact that we can take a several thousand ton, just monstrous thing, loaded with fat shit people, and then take it off into the air. Let it get airborne. Defy gravity to fly across the world or the country or wherever you're going. It's incredible. It's an incredible experience, and I wish more people would think about that aspect of flying, as opposed to getting too into the weeds of the non-controllables of flying, which is the people and the other crap that goes on that gets us pissed off and annoyed, but we can't control it. Remember the miracle of flight, the scientific miracle of flight almost. It's just incredible. I'll never not enjoy it. I'll never dread a flight. Like, oh crap, I gotta go fly here and this and that. No. The only good thing, if I have to go on a work trip or anything, I hate the idea of I gotta leave the house, I gotta go get the dog boarded, I gotta plan accordingly. As soon as I'm in the airport, we're good. We are good, baby, because I'm gonna get in a plane, I'll have a coffee, maybe I'll have a gin and tonic every once in a while, ginger ale to settle the stomach, the Biscoff cookies, hello. Talk to some nice people out there, meet some folks, see some hots, see some hunks, Love it. Everything about that. I love flying. I'll never not love flying. And that's all I got today, folks. Before we go, though, real quick, the big three. The 3 pillars to staying strong and being a better, happier, overall, less stressful human being and spreading that goodness to the world. Number 1, exercise every day. Go for a walk, do jumping jacks, have some Harry's hot jerky, whatever it is, do what you got to do. And I had this realization recently. Exercising every day can be mental and emotional exercise as well. Okay, and I can't believe I didn't think about this sooner, but I'm going to start incorporating that into the exercise every day thing. Because you could break a mental sweat too. Reading, learning a new thing, a new skill, doing crosswords. And then you can also meditate, you can do breath work, you can get some stuff that's good for the soul, for the emotional side. Any sort of exercise every day to be healthier physically, mentally, and emotionally. Do it. Number 2, the hardest one, don't be a shitty person. Choose kindness. And the simplest way to do that, it's tough to actually do, but the simplest process to do that is when the opportunity arises to be shitty and be an asshole to someone, just don't do anything. Don't say a word. Don't look at them. Don't type out a post. Just omit yourself. And at the very least, you'll be minimizing the negativity and the shit going on in the ether. You won't be doubling down on it. All right. Number 3, the most important, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. Because we got good lives, guys and gals and whatever else. We got good lives. We got roofs over our heads. We have people in our lives that love us and care about us and would do things for us. Some of us have money more than others. Think about one thing every day when you wake up. One good thing in your life every day. Start with that. And think about what your life would be like without that thing. All right? Pretty shitty, huh? That's what gratitude is. Realizing how shitty your life would be without the good things you have in your life, that life, and how you're more grateful for it as opposed to taking it for granted. So, be grateful. That's all I got today, guys. Thank you guys for listening. Oh, hold on a second. I think I have a hotline call. Stand by. I do have a hotline call. I completely forgot. I missed a call from last episode. I apologize for that. Got a hotline call here. I'm going to try to make this work. I don't have all my audio stuff, so I'm going to try to do a little makeshift audio here, and hopefully you guys can hear this. So stand by. Here's the call.
Hi. Call me back. What? I want to know all life's secrets. And I want to know all about the wet cat. Goodbye.
All right, so there you have it. That guy sounds very sober, very with it. Just a simple request from that guy. He wanted to know all of life's secrets, and he wants to know more about the wet cat. And you and me both, brother. So we got to get the wet cat back on here to learn more about him and what he likes about flying and how he can get all those first-class upgrades and all that good stuff. But great call. Thank you for that. Tremendous. I think that's all the calls we got. So that's it. Sorry for going out of order. I don't usually like going out of order. I like to end with the big 3, but don't forget, exercise every day. Don't be a shitty person. Be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. Bang, big 3. That's all we got. Thank you guys again. Don't forget to hit the hotline 202-670-1114. Tell your friends and enemies, like, subscribe, get the little notification bell, whistle, whatever on your phones and apps so you know when new shit comes out. That's it. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.